Hello, my friends. Welcome to Luna English Podcast. This is Luna, and today we're going to explore a very important topic. This topic may sound simple, but in reality it touches almost every part of your daily life. Comparison is something we all do without thinking. You look at someone's success, their appearance, their skills, their life, and you think, why not me? You ask yourself, why don't I have what they have? At first, comparison feels natural because you want to measure where you are, but over time, it hurts you. It makes you blind to your own progress. It makes you believe that your life is not enough. That is why today, I want to guide you through a gentle reflection on why comparing yourself to others is dangerous and how you can begin to step out of this habit. Think about this. If you're always looking at another person's path, you cannot walk your own. If you keep focusing on someone else's life, you lose the energy to build your own. And most importantly, comparison makes you forget who you are. So in this episode, I want to remind you that your story is unique, your timing is different, and your value cannot be measured against anyone else. Let's take this journey together, step by step, with calm reflection, and discover why you don't need to compare yourself to anyone. Why do we compare ourselves to others? The answer is simple, because we want to understand who we are. From a young age, you see people around you, and your brain wants to know if you are doing well. So you compare. You look at grades in school, how fast someone runs, how many friends they have. Later, as adults, the things change, but the habit stays. You look at jobs, money, houses, beauty, popularity, even happiness. The truth is, comparison comes from a natural human need to belong. You want to feel safe, accepted, and important. You want to know that you matter. But when you compare too much, instead of feeling safe, you feel small. Instead of feeling encouraged, you feel behind. Comparison is like a mirror that never shows the full picture. You only see the best side of someone else, not their struggles, not their pain, not the long hours they worked in silence. This is why comparison is unfair and also unhelpful. You measure your whole life against a very small part of someone else's life, and that's not real. When you understand this, you can begin to step back. You can remind yourself, yes, I want to grow, but I want to grow in my own way. You don't need to copy the timing of another person. You don't need to live their story. You only need to keep walking forward on your own path. What do we lose when we compare ourselves to others? The hidden cost is peace. When you compare, you can't enjoy your present moment. You're always thinking about what you don't have. Another cost is energy. Instead of building your life, you spend hours thinking about someone else's life. You lose time, focus, and motivation. The biggest cost is your self-worth. When you compare, you tell yourself you're not good enough. And when that thought repeats every day, it becomes a belief. You start to truly think you're less than other people. This belief is dangerous because it affects how you speak, how you act, and how you see the world. It can make you afraid to try new things. It can make you jealous of others. It can make you blind to your own gifts. All this happens quietly, without you noticing. That's why comparison feels so heavy. You may think it's just a thought, but really, it's a seed. If you let it grow, it takes space from everything else. So ask yourself, is this thought helping me? Does it give me strength, or does it take my strength away? If it takes from you, then it's not worth keeping. You need peace, focus, and belief in yourself to build your life. And comparison steals all three. When you see the cost clearly, it becomes easier to say no. It becomes easier to remind yourself, I don't want to lose myself just because I'm looking at someone else. Why can't you compare your life to someone else's? Because everyone has a different story. Think about it. You were born in a unique place, with a unique family, in a unique time. The experiences that shaped you are not the same as anyone else. Even two people who grow up in the same house, with the same parents, can turn out completely different. This is because life is not only about what you see on the outside, it's also about what happens inside. Your fears, your hopes, your dreams, your thoughts, these are all different. So when you compare yourself to someone else, you ignore your story. You act as if their timeline should also be your timeline. But that's not true. Someone may reach success at 20, another person at 40. Someone may discover their passion early, another person much later. Both are valid, both are real. There is no fixed rule for when you must achieve something. Life is not a race. Life is more like a garden, where each plant blooms in its own time. Some flowers open in spring, others in summer, others even in autumn. None of them are late, none of them are wrong, and neither are you. Your story is not supposed to look like anyone else's story. It's supposed to look like yours. When you accept this, comparison becomes less powerful. You can finally say, I trust my timing. Why does comparison feel so strong today? Because we live in a world of illusions. Everywhere you look, you see perfect pictures, perfect bodies, perfect lives. But what you see is not the whole truth. Social media shows you a highlight, not the reality. People share their best 5 minutes, not their hardest hours. They show you their smile, not their tears. They show success, not failure. And yet, when you see these images every day, your brain begins to believe that's normal. You start to believe that everyone else is doing better than you. But that's not real. Behind every picture, there is a hidden story. Behind every smile, there are struggles. You don't see the long nights, the fear, the stress, the mistakes. You only see the result. This is why comparison is built on illusion. You measure your real life against someone else's edited life. And of course, you feel small, because you're not comparing reality with reality. You're comparing reality with a mask. When you remember this, you can breathe easier. You can remind yourself that no one has a perfect life. Everyone carries pain. Everyone has doubts. Everyone is still learning. You don't need to believe the illusion. You don't need to fight with shadows. Your real life, with its ups and downs, is enough. It's already full, already meaningful, already worth living. What does success really mean? This is important because most comparison is about success. You look at someone who has more money, more fame, more recognition, and you think they are ahead. But what is success? Success is not one single thing. Success is different for every person. For one, it may mean raising a family. For another, building a business. For another, writing a book. For another, living quietly and peacefully. None of these is better or worse. They are simply different. The problem is, society often teaches you that success is only one thing: money, power, status. So when you don't have these, you feel like a failure. But if you stop and think, you may realize that what truly matters to you is not what matters to everyone else. Maybe you want a calm life. Maybe you want creativity. Maybe you want love. Maybe you want freedom. If you measure yourself by someone else's definition, you will always feel behind. But if you measure yourself by your own values, you can already feel successful today. Think about it. If you woke up this morning, if you're learning, if you're growing, if you're kind, if you're doing your best, aren't these forms of success too? Success is not a fixed goal. It's a personal path. And your path is yours alone. What happens when comparison turns into envy? Envy is when you not only notice what others have, but also wish they didn't have it. It creates bitterness inside you. It makes you angry at life. It makes you cold towards people who should inspire you. Envy destroys joy. It makes you blind to your blessings. You stop noticing what is good in your own life because you are too busy staring at what is good in another person's life. Envy also makes relationships harder. Instead of feeling happy for others, you feel threatened by them. Instead of connecting, you distance yourself. This hurts you because human connection is one of the most important needs we have. But when you live with envy, connection becomes impossible. So what can you do? The first step is to notice envy without shame. Don't judge yourself for feeling it, just notice. Then slowly change the thought. Instead of saying, "Why them and not me?" try saying, "If them, then me too someday." Instead of closing your heart, open it. Let another person's success remind you of what's possible. Let it give you hope, not bitterness. When you do this, envy loses its power. You remember that life is not a competition. Their light does not take away from yours. There is space for all of us. How can you stop comparison? One of the strongest tools is gratitude. Gratitude means focusing on what you already have instead of what you don't. When you feel thankful, your heart becomes lighter. Your attention turns from others back to yourself. Gratitude is like a gentle light that shows you what is good in your life right now. Maybe it's small things, like the food you eat, the air you breathe, the comfort of your bed. Maybe it's bigger things, like the people who love you, the opportunities you've had, the progress you've made. When you list these blessings, you realize you're not empty. You realize your life already holds value. And the more you practice gratitude, the less space comparison has in your mind. Because gratitude and comparison cannot live in the same place. One says, "I don't have enough." The other says, "I already have so much." Which voice will you choose to listen to? Gratitude doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you don't want more. It simply means you can walk forward with peace instead of with jealousy. It means you enjoy the journey instead of only focusing on the finish line. Gratitude is powerful and it's always available to you. What should you compare yourself to, if not other people? The answer is simple. Compare yourself to your past self. Look at where you were 1 year ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Notice how much you've grown. Notice the skills you've built, the challenges you've survived, the wisdom you've gained. Even if you feel stuck today, I promise that you are not the same person you once were. Growth happens quietly, but it happens. Comparing yourself to your past self gives you motivation without pain. It helps you see that your efforts are not wasted. It helps you stay patient when progress feels slow. You may not be where you want yet, but you are not where you started. And that matters. This kind of comparison is healthy because it's based on reality, not illusion. It's fair because you are only measuring against yourself, and it's kind because it reminds you that you're moving forward step by step. So when the urge to compare comes, shift your focus. Ask yourself, how far have I come? What have I learned? Who am I becoming? These questions will give you peace instead of pressure. They will remind you that your journey is valid, your growth is real, and your life is unfolding in its own rhythm. Why do we feel behind when we compare? Because we believe life has a fixed timeline. We think we should reach success by a certain age, achieve goals by a certain time, follow a specific order. But life doesn't work like that. Everyone's pace is different. Some people start fast, then slow down. Others start slow, then rise later. Some change direction completely in the middle of life. And all of this is fine. Your pace is enough. You don't need to rush just because someone else is ahead of you. You don't need to slow down just because someone else is behind. You only need to honor your own rhythm. Imagine a long walk in nature. Some people walk quickly, Others stop often to rest or to look at flowers. Some take shortcuts, some take longer paths. But in the end, everyone is still walking. Everyone is still on the journey, and the speed doesn't make one person better than the other. It just makes them different. Life is like that. Your pace doesn't define your worth. It doesn't mean you're late. It doesn't mean you're wrong. It just means your timing is different, and that's okay. What makes you special? The answer is your individuality. There is no one else with your exact mix of thoughts, feelings, talents, and dreams. No one else has your exact voice. No one else sees the world exactly as you do. That is a gift. If you spend your life comparing, you waste this gift. You try to fit into another person's shape instead of embracing your own. You try to live their life instead of living yours. But the world doesn't need another copy. The world needs you. Your individuality brings value. Maybe it's in your kindness, maybe in your creativity, maybe in your persistence. Maybe it's something small that you don't even notice, but that others appreciate deeply. When you compare, you don't see this. You only see what you lack. But when you step back, you can see that what you have is unique. You can see that your individuality is not a weakness, but a strength. So instead of asking, why am I not like them? Ask, how can I use what I already have? How can I grow what is already mine? That is how you honor yourself. That is how you give your gift to the world. How do you protect yourself from comparison? By building inner confidence. Confidence doesn't mean you always feel strong. It means you trust yourself enough to keep going, even when you doubt. It means you believe your efforts matter, even if no one else notices yet. Inner confidence is like a shield. When you have it, other people's success doesn't scare you. Their light doesn't make you feel smaller. You can look at them and say, good for them, and good for me too. How do you build this confidence? By keeping promises to yourself. If you say you'll study for 20 minutes and you do it, you grow trust in yourself. If you say you'll wake up earlier and you try, you grow trust. Confidence is not built in one big step. It's built slowly, in small actions repeated every day. And over time, this trust becomes strong. You no longer need comparison to feel worthy. You already know you are worthy. You already know your path has value. And that inner knowing cannot be taken away by anyone else's life. Can comparison ever help you? Yes, if you use it the right way. Instead of letting it make you jealous, you can let it inspire you. For example, when you see someone succeed, you can say, that shows me what's possible. If they can do it, maybe I can too. Their success doesn't mean I failed. It simply means there is more potential for everyone. This kind of thinking changes everything. It turns comparison from poison into power. The difference is your attitude. If you compare with bitterness, you suffer. If you compare with curiosity, you grow. Ask yourself, what can I learn from this person? What habits helped them? What effort did they put in? What can I try in my own way? When you shift from jealousy to inspiration, comparison no longer steals your energy. It gives you energy. It gives you ideas. It gives you motivation. Of course, you must always remember, inspiration doesn't mean copying. You don't need to follow their exact steps. You only need to take what helps and adapt it to your own path. That way, you stay true to yourself while still learning from others. What do you really want in life? At the heart of it, most people don't want money, fame, or recognition. They want peace. They want to wake up and feel calm. They want to know they are enough. Comparison takes this peace away. It fills your mind with pressure. It tells you to hurry, to compete, to prove, but you don't need to live like that. You can choose peace instead. Peace comes from acceptance. Acceptance that your path is yours. Acceptance that your value is not measured by others. Acceptance that today is already enough. This doesn't mean you stop growing. It doesn't mean you give up. It simply means you stop fighting yourself. You stop running after shadows. You stop comparing and start living. Imagine how light your life would feel if you carried less pressure. Imagine how free you would feel if you could simply enjoy your journey without always measuring it. That is peace. And it's something you can choose every day. So, where does this leave us? It leaves us with one clear truth. You don't need to compare yourself to anyone. Your life is your own. Your path is unique. Your timing is perfect for you. When you compare, you lose sight of this truth. But when you focus inward, when you practice gratitude, when you trust your own pace, you find peace. Remember, comparison is not the measure of your worth. Your worth is already inside you. You are already enough. The next time you feel the urge to compare, pause. Take a deep breath. Remind yourself, I'm walking my own path. I don't need to be like anyone else. I only need to keep becoming myself. That is more than enough. My friends, thank you for spending this time with me today.